Alright, so a little bit of a neighborhood find here. I've been on the lookout for a Honda mower just because I've owned a Briggs & Stratton now for, let's see, 7, 8 years. And I know everybody doesn't expect their lawnmowers to run indefinitely, but I'm on my second motor, and it has been the biggest pain in the neck to own and maintain. Uh, if your neighbor stops you to talk to you when you're in the middle of mowing the lawn, the engine never restarts. I've been through the motor, all kinds of different parts, and anyways, nothing runs like a Honda in my opinion. That's just my opinion. So I've been a little I guess blown away by the price tag on them. So when I saw this on the side of the road, I thought, awesome, let's take a look at it and see what's going on. So the first thing I noticed was it's locked up. It will not rotate at all. It will not start. It's actually just completely seized. Me being inexperienced with this mower, I basically went underneath and tried to rotate the blades because usually they're directly attached to the motor crank, and in this particular model that's not the case. This is a Honda HRX217, and it has a GCV200 motor, and I can just kind of go through what I did and share with you the best approach that I think to repairing this. First things first is you have to get this motor cover off, which unfortunately I had to break this tab over here. There's a screw that is right here, right to the back side of the air filter, and if you just unscrew that a little bit, this cover should pop up. You have to remove the gas cap, which you can see I've detached from the cover, just so that once I pull this cover off and remove it, I can cover the gas and not get anything in the gas tank. So anyways, there are a few tabs on the outside of the motor. So you can see there was a tab here, it's been broken, and then there's a tab on both sides here. I'm going to cover up the gas cap, and again you can just remove it by removing this tab from the slotted opening here. Get that out of the way. Got three 10mm bolts here to move the pull start mechanism. And of course I checked it for the obvious things like gas and oil. It didn't have any oil on the stick showing, but when I did tip the mower on its side, I did see that there was some motor oil in there. It didn't look all that great. I topped it off. Obviously I don't want to change the oil if this motor is going to be a scrap. So anyways, I topped off the oil to the fill. Now I'm just removing this guy, and you can just kind of let it go. And you'll need so those are two 10mm bolts that remove there, and you need a 19mm to go into the center of this flywheel, I guess you'd call it. And you want to not try to use these tabs so much because they are aluminum, and you can shear these off if you're trying to pry on them with a flat-headed screwdriver or whatnot. In the same token, we're not trying to actually loosen this bolt. All that I care about doing is getting this unseized. It's completely seized. So actually what I'm also going to do at the same time is I'm going to remove this spark plug, and I'm just going to spray a little bit of penetrating fluid in there. Okay, just loosen the spark plug here. We'll actually check it. Actually doesn't look that bad. There's no damage to it. Looks like it's gapped just fine. So we'll put that guy aside for now. And I just have some liquid wrench penetrating oil, a little bit of a straw on it, and so I'm just basically going to blow that into the spark plug hole in the cylinder head. Okay, I've already shaken this up as well. Okay, so we're getting it good and soaked in there. And now I'm going to take this guy, and again, I'm not my goal here is not to loosen the bolt, but just trying to get this flywheel to spin. Okay, I believe it normally spins clockwise, so I'm going to try to just kind of bump it counterclockwise. Let's see here. Try to get a little bit better of a perspective here. So basically, I'm just going to kind of bump it, and you can just kind of keep an eye on. Now, I've already broken this free, but I'm just kind of sharing with you what I did. So basically, I just kept bumping it a little bit to the reverse spin. I didn't break the bolt free there on the flywheel, and then I just kind of tapped it a bunch of times this way. And I actually used a dead blow hammer, so it's got a counterweight mechanism. And after doing this with a spark plug removed and liquid wrench in there, I was able to get this completely unseized and moving very freely. Okay, so also one other thing to note is what oftentimes happens with this overhead valve mechanism here is people run into things like, maybe the stairs on decks, or, maybe a tree limb that's coming out really low, or a shrub, and it'll actually push in on this housing. And if this housing is dented in at all, it'll actually prevent the valves from moving properly. So that can actually cause the motor to kind of, the piston to hit the valve. And that's obviously not something you want to try to muscle through. So I should make a little caveat to this, that your first thing should be to inspect this cover, make sure that this little valve cover doesn't have any dents, that it's not dented in, make sure that it looks good in physical shape. So once you break this loose, the next thing is going to be putting it back together, making sure you have fresh gas, and then trying to start it. So if you want to bear with me for a couple minutes, I will try putting everything back together. And everything seems to be in really good shape otherwise, so I don't really have any more things to say. The valve cover looks good on this one. There's no dents. Gas looked good. Smelled okay. Didn't smell varnished. And there's a little bit of a side story that I can tell you to this. I actually have a pretty good heart, and I reached out to my neighbor that put this out on the road, and I asked him, hey, did you really mean to get rid of this motor or mower, and what's the story? He said that his dad bought it a little over a year ago and didn't really give me this. I think he said his dad said he ran it without enough oil, and basically it seized up. And they took it to a small motor repair shop locally, and they told him that it wouldn't be worth replacing the motor. So they said to just scrap it pretty much. So this Honda mower that's known to basically withstand the test of time had a very short life and was headed towards the landfill. I can't stand to see things get thrown away all the darn time. There's so many things we throw away as humans, and we have to live on this earth. And the more clutter and junk we put in it, the worse it's going to be for our kids and our, the future of mankind. So, anyways, let me get off my little soapbox. Quit throwing stuff away. That's the moral of the story. So basically, actually, now this is going to be the last time, hopefully, that I have this thing apart. You can actually service the. What am I trying to say? You can actually service the carburetor without having to worry about this guy getting in the way. So, carburetor has a little bit of a surge issue. Man, I just love this stuff. Honda's really good on their stuff. But basically it snaps down just fine even with that broken clip. There isn't any issue there. So I'll show you here. I'm actually going to start it, and you'll see it'll probably smoke a little bit because I did squirt some penetrating fluid, a fair amount in the cylinder, but you'll hear it run here in a second. That's just the penetrating fluid. You'll see it'll burn off here in a second. It'll be perfectly fine. Deemed to be a this was deemed to be a landfill mower, and as you can see, it runs perfectly fine. Runs like a one-year-old Honda should. No smoking or anything. The carburetor did sit for a little while with some ethanol gas in it, so it does need one of the jets cleaned. And once I do that, it'll run perfectly fine. So, anyways, moral of the story is, don't let ethanol gas sit in your carburetor on these either. But that's it, folks. Just trying to prevent one more thing from going in the landfill, and you can do it too.